Good morning, this is Robin Beaver on the Crude SpreadTalk on the 1st of July at 7:25 in the morning London time. As an overall, the Brent front structure looks a little bit wobbly and as if we could slip a little bit. The back looks stuck, whereas WTI structure looks quite steady. The front looks strong and as if, apart from the fact that we're probably going to dip early this morning, should run higher later, and the back looks steady. So, first of all, SpreadTalk Brent. It's stuck in amongst the short-term moving averages, not very different from the flat price actually, and it needs to move and close over the 5 and 8s at -9 to give it some upside to +2. That might be a big ask. It needs to hold the 13-day at -11 or it dips down to -17. There's any serious downside on a move and close below -17, and it really only starts to get some significant or potentially meaningful upside if it can move over -9. So it's stuck between -9 and -17. And if we look, and it's still got a negative stochastic, if we look at the 60-minute chart for this spread, it's beginning to look a little bit toppy. So do not be surprised by a move back to say test even as far. I don't think it's going to get back to -17, but it could easily dip back a little bit and move through its 13-day moving average support at -11. Now the NOV is not very dissimilar. It needs to move over -16 to give it some upside. It's printing there to -9. It must not break down below -23. It's stuck in a range here and it's going to ebb and flow around the short-term moving averages. Its 60-minute chart is certainly suggesting that it's got a bit toppy and that we should fall a little bit during the course of the London morning. Now looking at the back end, the DEC June Brent held in by the 8-day moving average resistance at -122. It needs to move over there to give it a chance of a test of the recent highs close to -84 area. And it needs to hold the 13-day at -129 and at worst case -144, the 21-day, or it has some downside. It's hemmed in by the 8-day moving average at -122 and the 21-day moving average at -144. In the middle there, no targets either way. And just looking back a second on the DEC June, it's looking toppy on the 60-minute chart, so do not be surprised by tests of support early this morning. The DEC on Brent, very similar to the DEC June, hemmed in by the 8-day moving average at -217, no upside unless it gets above there. No downside unless it's below -251, the 21-day moving average. Still got a negative stochastic, but its 60-minute chart is looking toppy on the left here, and I would expect tests of support during the course of the London morning. Now, if we look at WTI, it looks pretty frisky, pretty strong. I would expect an early dip back this morning, but in these conditions, it could easily head into backwardation and upwards to +19. It's a little bit too much too soon. It's quite some way above its 5 and 8-day moving averages, and 5, 8 and 13-day moving averages between -12 and -15. And there's no downside whilst it's above -19. The 60-minute chart, though, is suggesting it's toppy and that we should dip back early this morning. That seems highly likely. And the SpreadTalk is very much in the same position. It may well test the -9 level. Only a move and close over -9 would suggest a break to the upside. Its stochastic has moved just positive, which is constructive, and there's no downside whilst it's above -16, the 21-day moving average. And the 60-minute chart, though, is suggesting some early weakness during the course of the London morning. That seems likely to occur. The move higher on the AUGSEP and the SpreadTalk look a little bit too much too soon, and we should slip back a little bit during the course of the London morning. Now moving on to the DEC June for WTI, okay whilst above -62, should head for -43, but it's probably a little bit too much too soon, and the hourly chart on the left here is suggesting a dip back this morning. There's no serious downside whilst it's above -82, and it could easily test the 5 and 13-day moving averages between -68 and -72 this morning, and in fact that's highly likely. And the DEC Red DEC, is fine whilst it's above minus 117, but again the hourly chart is suggesting a dip back this morning, so I suspect the minus 17 will probably not hold, and we could easily test the 5 and 13 day between minus 127 and minus 134. But if later today it's back above 117, it looks like it's going to be heading towards the minus 50, minus 46 level. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.